Ryan here with Prudential Pest Solutions. We had a client in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, which is in Chester County in southeastern Pennsylvania, that had a hornet's nest inside of their open shed here on the side of their house. So you can see the shed doesn't have a door. It was just open. There's some gardening stuff in there, and he looked in and said, "Uh-oh, hornet's nest." So these are bald-faced hornets. And what we're going to do is we're going to treat, remove it, and then at the end of the video, I actually have a pretty neat close-up of the nest and then some of the larval and developmental stages of the hornets, which we don't get to see very often. I'm sure neither do you. So I got some close-ups of that at the end of the video. So we're all suited up in our bee suit. I'm going to inject the PTPI, and you can see once I put that aerosol directly into the nest like that, and it's just paper, you can just stick it right in there, they come flying out of this nest. And a lot of them are dying right away in the nest, and most of these are going to die immediately afterwards. And we can see that because they're just dropping straight out of the main opening there. So all those ones that were originally on the outside of the nest, some of them were guard hornets. They were guarding the end there because I was in the shed with them, and they were they were put on alert. Some of them were actually just making the nest and maintaining it. Because as these nests continue to grow, they need to obviously expand the outer layers of the paper. And we actually have another video that explains how they do that by chewing on wood and making it into pulp. And then it's kind of fascinating how they make these nests. So we got it treated. I mean, that happens actually pretty quick. There's a close-up. Now we're going to remove it. I just have a scraper here. And because it was attached at the corrugated metal, the wood, and then the wood on the side, I wasn't able to get it off in one section, but that's okay because it allowed us to really get a cool look inside of the nest, which we don't usually get to see. So we can see the hornets that are in the nest yet are in various stages of dying, and there's always going to be hornets flying around the outside. They were the ones getting resources, and they're coming back to the nest and saying, "Uh-oh, what happened to my home?" So they'll just be kind of hovering around there. So we're just going to scrape it off the corrugated metal, scrape it off the wood, and get it out of there. So there's the removed nest. And like I said, we're going to have some pretty cool close-ups here in a bit that show what that looks like and show some developmental stages. And then that's about as clean as we can get that nest there. And you can always tell when people have had hornet's nest, bald-faced hornet's nest on their home, because there's always like that choppy ring design that no matter how much you scrub and scrape, you just can't get it off. So we got that cleaned up. Thumbs up. So here's a close-up of the nest here, and we can see these little worm-looking guys here, and they're still moving. That's the larva. There's more larvae down here. We can see them still moving around, and then the white part are various developmental stages. So they're kind of capped off with like almost like a webbing that are capped off, and then they develop. And we can see the little dots in there are eggs in what looks like empty comb there. Then we have more larvae, and then, like I said, as they go to develop, they'll start maturing into bald-faced hornets. So I'm just using my knife here, and I'm just going to remove part of this. I guess it's not really webbing, but remove part of this cap, we'll call it, and we'll see what we find in here. Try not to kill it. Oh, there we go. There's a bald-faced hornet there. And the first thing it ever saw, maybe it did some sort of mother imprinting on me. Maybe he thinks that I'm his mother. But you can see he's just alive and well. And that's always what fascinates me too, is when you can get up close to these nests. These things are still moving around. They're going about as if nothing happened, but obviously none of these would survive because the rest of the colony's dead. So here's another one. I'm going to pull it out here, but this one's about to be mature, but you can see just how kind of white and translucent it still is. So it doesn't have the full black and white coloration on it because it was still developing in there. Whereas this one has the white face, which is why sometimes these bald-faced hornets are called white-faced hornets, because of that coloration. So here we can see some developmental stages that came out of our nest. So on the very left, which looks like a grain of rice, that's an egg. And then we have the larva, which is the worm-looking slimy guy there. And then the translucent almost finished hornet, and then the guy on the right is the fully developed hornet. So this just kind of shows us a subsection of the life cycle of them, which I think is really, really neat. So it's not just so much about, you know, just killing stuff and moving on. I'm just fascinated by what these social insects do and their development, and of course, you know, resolving the hornet issue that our client had too. So of course they're happy that they can use their shed again, and we're happy because we were able to help them with that and also learn a little bit about what the inner workings of a bald-faced hornet's nest. So if you have a hornet, yellow jacket, bee, or wasp issue, it's time to call the professionals at Prudential Pest Solutions. You can reach us at 484-401-4361.